Hey girl, you're listening to the Bright Life Podcast, all about ways to stay inspired, chase your dreams, and find more gratitude in the highs and lows of the journey. I'm your host, Jessica Johnson. I run a content marketing agency and travel the world as a digital nomad, just a suitcase, my hubby, and a trusty laptop in tow. I'm a self-growth junkie, a believer in other big-hearted women, and I'm all about sharing tips, tricks, lessons learned, and encouragement so we can all live our biggest, brightest lives. You ready? Let's do this. Hi, friends. Welcome to the Bright Life Podcast. So excited to get into today's episode. This is a spicy episode. It's on the topic of jealousy. It's another one of those things that we all experience. We all see other people's lives on social media. We see the highlight reels. We are acutely aware of how everyone in our lives, it seems, is doing these days. And so jealousy is something that can come up. But rather than it being something that feels really negative or toxic, I feel like I've found some ways to make it something that actually can be inspiring and empowering and can better point me towards the life that I want to live. And so I'm going to share some things that work for me in the hopes that they help you as well, as always. So here's a few little things. The first thing that I like to remember is that every single person will take the exact same idea and do it completely differently than you. Everyone's execution will be different. So for example, my husband, he's an entrepreneur as well. And when I first met him, I noticed how on Facebook, whenever he had a business idea, he would put it out on Facebook and just let anyone in the world see it and be like, hey, I had this idea. If anyone wants it, just take it and run with it. And at first, I thought that was so strange. I was like, you're just going to give away your $1 million business idea and let anyone execute on it? When what he said is, no one will do it the same. And the more that I've paid attention to that, the more I really feel it's true, where I've seen other people in my exact same industry offering my exact same service, and they do it completely differently. They come out with a completely different brand and personality and offering. I've also even seen it on television shows where there's this show out now called Undercover Billionaire, and these entrepreneurs are given this specific amount of money and time and resources and forced to come up with this business in a short amount of time. And they all do it completely differently. So that's one way that I like to manage jealousy, is just to remember that even if we are operating on the exact same circumstances, even if we're creating the exact same thing, we are not competition for each other in the way it's traditionally thought of. We are going to be doing it completely differently. And as I mentioned in last week's episode, there's some people who are going to hear it from them and, consider them the teacher that it all lands with. And then there's other people who, for whatever reason, are going to resonate with me and are going to like my vibe or my products or my pricing or my energy, and they're going to go with me. Okay, so number one is just like, there's really no shortage of opportunity here. Everyone will do something completely differently, even if it's the exact same thing. Also, action is worth 1,000 more than an idea. So a lot of people have ideas. A lot of people talk all day about what they could do or what they want to do. But if you're actually going out there and getting after it, that is what life is going to reward. So don't get threatened by someone's idea or someone pursuing the same thing. Just really watch for their actions and their consistency and how they show up, because that is what the universe is going to respond to. All right? The second thing I like to remember is, especially on social media where there's that highlight reel, is, do I want all of the experience that comes with something? So for example, I'll speak personally about being in this digital nomad world. I hear so often from people who say, oh my gosh, I would love to do what you're doing. And it is awesome in many ways. It's so cool to travel the world, to see new places, to feel that freedom. But we also, gave up all our belongings for the most part. We gave up our lease. Do you also want to live out of a carry-on suitcase and have the same 3 shirts to wear for a year? There's also that element of sleeping in someone else's bed every single day. We've had so many crazy experiences with ants in kitchens and cockroaches in living rooms and water draining into a bedroom from a shower and loud neighbors all night long, and moving every single week, packing up everything we have and moving to the next place. And so, yes, there is this amazing lifestyle that comes with living on the road, but you have to remember there's a lot of other things that come with it too. And so whenever you get jealous seeing someone's beautiful pictures or their experiences, just remember that there's a lot of other experiences coming with that you would also have to want or to have if you wanted that experience, right? Same thing for like entrepreneurship. It sounds so shiny and so neat and everyone's doing it. It sounds so cool. But let me tell you, like, there's a lot that comes with entrepreneurship that is not as glamorous and that a lot of people are not talking about. I went into tens of thousands of dollars of debt for my first business out of my own money. I spent my savings with my first business. I've had people say to me, I would love to start a business, but I can't leave my job. It pays too well. Well, I left a really well-paying job to start that business. There's always like all the glamorous side of it and what you see and how it sounds, but there's also a lot that you have to go through to build something. You have to put yourself out there a lot. You sometimes have to feel really alone. You have to subject yourself to the opinions of people on the internet who aren't always like the nicest, right? So a lot of really nice people, but a lot of really hurt people saying things in the comments too. Do you want the sleepless nights? Do you want the feeling of I make $0 this month unless I find a way to serve customers and to get people to buy from me and to put my gifts and my message out in the world in a way that people want to monetize and pay for? That's a lot of stress, right? Like that is a very hard thing to go through, that not everyone wants to risk or wants to go through to have that title of, oh, I'm an entrepreneur and maybe 3 years in I'll figure it out and I'll like finally get it and I'll get the customers, the niche and everything and it'll all work out, right? It's a process. It's a process, and that's the cost to become this successful thing that you want to be. So yes, like the entrepreneurship thing is so great and it can be easy to get jealous of that, but just remember that there's a lot that comes with it. And I really think this is true for any kind of situation, whether it's motherhood. I'm not a mother, but from what I hear from my girlfriends, right, like it's amazing. It's the best thing, but there's also sleepless nights. There's also spit up. There's also tantrums. So just know that you may see something that you want in someone, but there's a whole story there that they're not always able to share or ready to share in the context that you see it in, right? I once read something by Jay Shetty, who's an author, an entrepreneur, storyteller, and he used to be a monk. And he said that once he was walking with this group of other monks, and he met one who the head monk, right, I'm paraphrasing, so, forgive me if he's listening to this and is like, that is not how I described it. But what he said was this head monk said, oh, this person right here, he has memorized the whole sacred text. And Jay Shetty recalls going, wow, I wish I could do that. To which this other monk responded, do you want the experience of saying you memorized it, or do you want the experience of having memorized it? It's really like it's subtle, but there's a difference there, right? Do you want the experience of becoming this person who does this thing, or do you just want the end outcome and that's all? Because you have to become, who do you have to become to get this thing you want? That's so much more important than just being able to say you did that thing, right? There's an element of having to become and embody before you get to just have the thing. So that's what I always try and remember anytime I'm like, man, someone has this or that. I try and think like, what have they had to experience to get that? Do I want all of that experience, or do I just want like the shiny part at the end that sounds and looks really good? Okay, so that kind of helps. Another thing with jealousy is I always consider now, what what is this thing they're describing, and what is it pointing to that I'm not fully expressing? So what I mean by that is anytime I see someone and, maybe I think, oh, like she's too bold or she's too confident or she's too sexy or whatever, like insert anything, right? What I always look at and say instead, I reframe it to, how can I be more, whatever that word you just inserted was? How can I be more bold? How can I be more confident? How can I feel more sexy? Like anything that your term is that triggers that jealousy for you, what is that pointing to that maybe you desire being able to be or experience a little bit more of as well? And it's easy here to have the cop-out of, no, that's not it. She's just too fake, or she's too disingenuous, or she's too aggressive, or whatever. But don't fall for that. What is she too fake about, or disingenuous about, or too braggy about, or too aggressive about? Is it money? Is it travel? Is it business? Is it success? That is the real underlying thing. This might not work in every situation, but you might also want to just sit on it. There's a lot of times where, especially if I'm really triggered by someone, I am like, no, I don't want that. I don't want that. But if I just kind of let it simmer in the back of my mind and I come back to it, a few weeks or a few months later, I kind of realize, oh, yeah, there was that part of her that I actually wasn't jealous of. I actually just wanted to call more of into my own life. I actually wanted more of. I actually was inspired by it. I actually was intimidated by, because I wanted to be that thing and I didn't know how to do it. Or I wanted more of that thing and I didn't know how to get it. So it kind of takes that jealousy that feels toxic and feels negative and turns it into something really loving and something that can point you to your next level in life. Something that can show you what your life is trying to bring up more of that maybe you're resisting or blocking or afraid of for whatever reason. Isn't that kind of cool? It makes it feel really powerful, and it almost makes it feel like a sisterhood type of thing where we're all really pointing each other towards the next path or next level of our lives rather than limiting each other. One final note on that point of limiting is I really try and remind myself that it's a scarcity mindset to feel jealousy, in the sense that someone having more doesn't mean I get to have less. It's not a zero-sum game. It's not like a pie chart where if she gets this slice, then I'm only left with that. This applies to money, to love, to confidence, to anything. She gets hers and you get yours. There's no limit in the world of love. There's no limit in the world of happiness or of joy or of confidence or of money. That is available for everyone. Honestly, the more that you get of it, the more it raises the vibe for everyone. The more she gets, the more it makes you believe you can have it as well. It works vice versa both ways. So whenever one woman succeeds, it makes it that much easier for other women too. How many people have you seen on social media where once you see them do it, you're like, man, now I want that. Now I believe that's possible. I know that when I see a woman who is making a ton of money, who is living her dreams, who's traveling the world, who has a ton of love around her, who's making a difference, who's giving back, who's making the world a little bit brighter, I am like, that is what I want. I now believe I can have those things. And I get it. There's a lot of showboating on social media, right? Where maybe it's not always the true story, but just use it to your advantage. Use it to inspire you. Use it to show you what's possible. Even my business coach, Lacey, she described it like this once, where she said, yes, the market's really saturated, but for her, she looks at other business coaches, and she even coaches a lot of business coaches, and she looks at it as we're all marketing for each other. We're all helping other people get on board with this idea of having a mentor and investing well in it and having this tribe of sisters and masterminds who have your back in business. So I just thought that was such a great way to put it, where it's not competition. There's no limit. The more one person succeeds, the more everyone succeeds. So those are some things that have really, really helped me. One, just knowing that even if you're given the exact same business or the exact same idea or the exact same life as someone, you're honestly both going to execute and create completely differently. It's really kind of beautiful. We all have our own gifts, we all have our own visions, we all have our own desires and personalities. And so you don't have to worry about someone taking your chance or doing your thing. Second, whatever shiny thing that you see them talking about on social media or experiencing, just remember that there's a whole story behind that. There's a lot of things that they had to go through to get that thing. And just checking yourself with, do I want all that stuff too? Or am I just looking at this one thing and wishing that I could have that without all the other stuff? And if that's not possible, it's kind of like, just, okay, well, that doesn't really work. Life doesn't work like that. So how can I redirect that energy? The third thing is just looking and seeing, what am I triggered by here? What is she too much or too little of? And where is there that gap in me? What's missing in me? What is that calling out for me to pay attention to cultivate more or less of in my own life? And then fourth, staying away from that scarcity mindset, really believing and knowing that all the good things in life, there's unlimited supplies of, for love, for joy, for connection, for success. The more one person rises, the more truly everyone else does. The more everyone else believes they can. The more everyone else sees the way to get there. And so for those reasons, jealousy isn't something that you have to get rid of in your life. It's really just something to gently reframe and to use as a gift and to use as a messenger to live your brightest life and to know that your version of it is perfect for you and someone else's can be perfect for them too. And we can all do this thing together. And what a better way to do it, right? That's my message for you this week. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you back next Thursday. Thank you so much for listening in. If you loved this episode, it would mean so much to me if you share it on Instagram stories and tag me so I can personally thank you for helping get the message out. I am so grateful to be on this journey with you. Until next time, talk to you soon.